Hey everyone, welcome to Reddit Readout. Today we are checking out Confession. Story 1. I used to steal other kids' lunches at primary school. When I was in primary school, I live in New Zealand, so primary school is ages 5 to 13, I grew up really poor. My parents had split custody week to week, so some weeks I stayed at my father's, which he never provided for me. My stepmom always packed me a lunch which consisted of an apple and usually a boiled egg. I used to make excuses to go to the bathroom constantly so I could scour other kids' bags in the cloak bay and steal their lunches, which was always yummy things like roll-ups / Dunkaroos / ham sandwiches / yogurts etc. / LCM bars etc. and I would eat them quickly and put the rubbish back into their bags or just throw it in the toilet and flush it to dispose of the evidence. We had a few school assemblies about it, but I never confessed or told anyone. I'm really not sure what made me do it except the fact I was really hungry. Story 2. When I was a hotel housekeeper, I slacked massively on nearly every room. I got laid off from my job 2 summers ago, and it sent me into a tailspin, to be honest. I was super depressed and the only job I could get was a hotel housekeeping job. It was the worst 2 months of my life, and I quit quickly. While I was there, I was extremely depressed and couldn't get myself to do anything correctly. I just didn't care. On different occasions, I didn't replace sheets, I didn't wipe down clean-looking counters, I didn't replace clean-looking towels, I didn't mop if it didn't look bad, etc. I took any shortcut I could. I quit after only 2 months, and I still feel bad. Story 3. I overcharged customers while working a register 1/4 at a time. Way back in the 90s. I know I'm older than dirt, lol. When the state quarters came out, I was employed at McDonald's. This was long before digital screens or even them accepting credit and debit cards. Well, I wanted to collect the new state quarters, so when in the drive-thru I would overcharge every customer by 25 cents. Did this for ages and would leave work every day with pockets full of quarters, but my register was always correct. I ended up with many rolls of each state quarter. Story 4. Stolen over $1,000 in Target products and I regret it so much. Everyone. Over the span of a year I've probably stolen over $1,000 of Target products, and it's such a bad habit. I do it because I don't want to pay, but there comes to a point where it's just greedy. What do I do? I've already stolen many things and I feel really bad. What are some ways I could help myself feel better? I'm trying to improve myself and I've really been struggling with this. Story 5. I used to masturbate by putting my D against the water jet in my school pool. When I was in middle school, we had a swimming pool with a really powerful water jet. The teacher allowed us 5 minutes at the end of class to mess about, and all the boys in my class would line up and take turns leaning into the jet. We called it getting the feeling, and I've always thought it was good of my teacher to never embarrass us by letting us know he knew, which he obviously did. I'd like to thank him if I ever see him again, haha. Story 6. I lied and stole money from my parents and it worsened over time. So yes, exactly like the title said, it started small. Like maybe around when I'm around 12 years old. I stole a little bit of money from my parents' drawer, which is the place where they tend to keep their stack of money. My parents were not too tech savvy, so they tend to use cash and kept their money in a small vault or locked drawer. I stole like around $10 and kept it for lunch money. My parents always give me lunch money, but sometimes they forget, and I'm too scared to ask money from my parents. This was due to our financial situation at the time. So every talk regarding money was like walking in landmines. Anyway, so over the years, our financial situation got pretty decent and it was easier to ask for pocket money. So I stopped stealing money. Until I started college. I attended an overseas university. At first things were great, until I started failing my classes. My grades went from 4.0 GPA to 3.5 and 3.0. And over the semester it just kept going down. I was struggling to maintain my studies and I was confused as to why I could not even get the words in. And I started to play mobile games as a way to relieve my stress. The game I'm playing was Genshin Impact, Yes, I know, don't attack me plus, blame my friend for forcing me to play this game with them. At first it does help with maintaining my stress, but then I began to develop, you guessed it, gacha addiction. For those who are unfamiliar with the term, it is basically gambling. The game has a system where you can get rare limited characters with great fighting abilities and designs by rolling for them. However, you don't necessarily guarantee to get them every time, hence that's where the gambling comes in. In order for you to get guaranteed to get the character, you have to pay real money. The game doesn't force you to pay money, as long as you kept playing the missions daily. But I began to irresponsibly spend the money my parents send me for my rent and everyday necessities on it. I was addicted to the euphoria of getting the characters and collecting them. It was a distraction tactic to make me forget about my problems. I began to lie to my parents to get them to send more money to me, and even forged various documents and events like, oh, my university was doing a seminar, can you send me $600 cause the entrance fee was expensive cause it's a 3-day seminar. Oh, I need to renew my student visa, they need around $5,000 for me to pay for everything. Oh, the document of proof? Here it is. I even resort to forged my bank statements before I emailed it to them. And it continues on even when I have to return back to my country due to COVID. Every day I stole around $100 more or less depending on how much I can get from their cash drawer. I lost count of how much I've stolen from them. Till this day, they never questioned why I spend so much money. They only told me that all these money is an investment for my future and it's the parents' responsibility to help their children. Because they thought I spend it on my studies. I was haunted with guilt and began hearing voices screaming how I am such a scornful child, worthless and disgusting. I even contemplate to jump off my apartment because I couldn't handle being the person I am. This also contributes even worse to my addiction and ever-failing grades. I couldn't stop and kept stealing. At some point I did try to stop playing the game, however my compulsive spending is still there. I ended up using the money on something else, like buying expensive food, buying expensive skincare, purchasing random things on online shopping websites. Yesterday I downloaded Genshin again and spent even more on it. I finally visited a therapist because my university called me due to my failing grades and advised me to get professional help. However, till this day I never told my parents about what I did. Mom, Dad, I'm so sorry. Story 7. When my father called and informed me about my mother's death, I told him to hang up and call later because I was just about to go to bed. When my father called me in the middle of the night and told me that my mother had passed away, I told him to hang up and call me later because I was about to go to bed. I was already stressed by other things in my life. It was about 4 in the morning when I finally felt I could sleep. I had my television on static and was playing Temple Run when a phone call from my father came in. He wasn't crying, but his voice was dejected and melancholic. He told me that my mother had just passed away in the hospital. My first thought was, why are you telling me this right now? My parents lived on the other side of the country. I knew my mother was ill, but they'd never share details of her illness with me even though I insisted multiple times. I didn't even know she was hospitalized until my father's phone call informed me of her death. When he called, I could feel a growing annoyance inside me. I wasn't sad or grieving, at least not that I was aware of. My response to the news he brought was, I was just about to go to bed, and now I am perturbed. If you say anything else right now, I'm going to stay up all night. Hang up the phone and call me later. Good night. That was an asshole move. An awful thing to do. But at that moment, all I felt was annoyance. When I woke up the next day and thought about the news, I felt like my heart was being carved straight out of my chest cavity. I gasped once or twice and shed a few tears but didn't fully cry. I thought about how I responded to my father when he called, and I loathe myself for it. I don't know how I can be such a heartless piece of shit and live with it. All I thought about was myself. I prioritized my sleep over comforting my father and grieving my mother. I'm an asshole. I think there is something wrong with me. I know there is. And I hate myself for it. But I also know that no matter how much I hate myself, I'm going to continue living this shitty life, with my shitty self. I will do more absurdly selfish things like this and pity myself for them. I will hate myself more and somehow continue to live. Underscore 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 un. Edit. Thank you for all the replies. I read all of them up until now. Initially, I posted this confession just to get it off my chest, but your insights have helped me look at this event from different perspectives. I'll provide a few contexts, not to excuse anyone, but to help you understand the complexity of the situation. My mother was diagnosed with cancer about 5 years ago, but neither she nor my father mentioned her illness to me until about 2 years ago. 7 months ago, I learned that the illness they've been talking about was cancer. Due to the nature of my profession, I can't easily travel or move my residence. In the past 2 years, I've asked multiple times when would be a good time to arrange travel so that I could visit my mother, but they never gave me a clear answer. It was always she's doing fine, no rush, and focus on your career. Before I moved away from my parents, there was a lot of drama between them and within our extended families. Part of the drama was that my mother found out about my father's affairs with multiple women and how he even bought a small apartment and a car for his favorite mistress and her daughter. Their arguments would sometimes get physical, but my father never hit my mother. My mother had scratched my father several times and caused minor injuries. I moved away partially to get away from all the drama. Yes, I am a runner. When conflicts arise, my instinct is to run away and save myself. To address. Story 8. I stole a bike as a kid because it was on someone's front lawn. In AUS it was around hard rubbish time, so I thought it was rubbish. I felt too guilty and returned it after a week. Story 9. I'm not even going to ask if I already know I am. Long story short. I 38F broke up with my 29M fiancé after a horrible toxic 5-year relationship. We were both toxic in pretty much every way. I destroyed the trust in the relationship the first night I met him. He blew through my boundaries so fast I couldn't keep up. Just bad news bears. So fast forward to 3rd MTH together, he tells me that sex is done till we are married. I was not okay with this change. I voiced my feelings and concerns. He said he understood and his answer to the problem was marry me. So yay, we got engaged super fast. I'm not a sex addict or anything, but I was in love. I wanted my new partner. He was strong and had the amount of self-control I couldn't comprehend. But he's a Christian man and God's presence and blessings is extremely important to him, and me. With that being said, all men sin. Throughout the last 5 years together we have been through hell. Literally, never in my life have I gone through so much with one person. Fast forward again to last November. We had a brief separation and he went into a treatment center. After he had completed the treatment I picked him up. I was all in and so freaking happy to have him back next to me and ready to start our life together, again still no sex. Things were great for a week. He relapsed and lied. He not only relapsed on drugs, he went all out. He started gambling again and was completely overtaken by porn and Instagram and hookers. He told me this is what I deserved for cheating on him. When we were apart, after I left him in Florida and broke up with him. Keywords broke up. I know he was hurt to find out I slept with another man. But come on, I'm human. I hadn't had sex in years. So anyway, I couldn't live with his bullshit lifestyle anymore and all the lies and cheating. I called him out on some of the sneaky stuff I found out he was doing. But I knew he wasn't telling me the full truth. So I tricked him. I knew he was on a dating apps looking for hookers. I made a fake profile and what do you know, we matched. He chatted with me for 5 hours. Sending pics, making plans. literally begging to make sure this hooker came through to see him. Keep in mind we were staying in a hotel room at the time. I was literally sitting right next to him texting him. He was so caught up in his fantasy world he didn't even notice. It made me sick the way he was talking to her. He never in 5 years ever said sexy stuff to me. But yet, next morning I got ready for work while he got ready, thinking his hooker was coming by our hotel room for a breakfast treat. I left and gave it about 2 hours. I texted him and ended it saying the hooker sent me the screenshots. I knew about everything. He held tight to the defense that nothing happened. But I knew if I had been a real hooker and had showed up he was planning on getting physical. I received the texts. I knew the plan. So yet I know it was deceitful and I am the asshole. But now he can have all the hookers he wants. LOL. That's all for today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.